Can you tell me a little bit about, speaking of the future, how do you see the future of rubber ducky scripting? Is there any potential impact on technology and cybersecurity?
Oh, it's okay. So it's hard to fully explain to you where I think things like these are going to go. The thing is with rubber duckies, right? Or any of these devices for the most part, speaking of hack 5, people either do one of two things. Either they over exaggerate what they think it can do, or they think it is just a keyboard, like just a keyboard, right? So they either think it is, like I said, just a keyboard, or they're like, oh, so if I plug this into my iPhone, will it bypass the lock screen, take all the pictures out of iCloud, and then send it to me on Dropbox? And it's like, what the fuck world do you live in? Like, what do you think? If I knew how to bypass an iPhone lock screen, I'd be turning in that 7-figure bug bounty. You know what I mean? So like they kind of go one way or the other, and it's just kind of wild. But the thing is the truth is it's actually almost as crazy as they think it is. They just go a bit too far. So it's not just a keyboard. Again, that's like one of the most important things to emphasize, is that this has come so far from where it used to be. So this actually does have OS detection now. So when I plug this into a computer, it can tell if it's a Mac or Linux or Windows and run a different payload accordingly, right? Um, One of the coolest functions that this has is one of the coolest functions that I've ever seen in anything in my entire life. So this has something called keystroke inject or keystroke reflection. I'm so sorry, I almost went down another path. Keystroke reflection, right? So whenever you grab something off of a computer, what you can do is you could send it over to this device. This is also a USB device. Now, the original one, you couldn't do that unless you installed the third-party firmware called Twin Duck, which made it both a regular duck and Twin a storage duck. Now it comes on this natively. So this can act as a USB storage. But the thing is not some, most corporate computers stop you from being able to plug in USB drives altogether. So maybe you can run the PowerShell command and you can get that information, but where are you going to send it to? They won't let you exfil over the network, and you can't send it to this device because they won't let you recognize a USB. What do you do? So this has something called keystroke reflection, like I said. So fun fact, if you didn't know this, the num lock, caps lock, and scroll lock on your keyboard, the lights on them are not controlled by the keyboard themselves. The lights are controlled by the computer. Your computer tells your keyboard whether or
Oh,
not those lights are on.
that's a
So
design flaw. Jesus.
yeah, so if I plug in a second keyboard into my computer, or you do, if you plug in a second keyboard, if you hit caps lock on one of your keyboards, it will light up on both keyboards because it universally sends that signal out to all HID devices. So what this does is it takes the data that you want to exfil, like maybe it's a Wi-Fi password, right? And it converts that. Basically, I'm going to dumb this down just to make this easy to explain. It basically converts it to Morse code using the numlock, scroll lock, and caps lock lights. So it just starts hitting those lights. It starts hitting those keys programmatically, but then those signals are then sent to here because it thinks this is a keyboard, and the signals go to all keyboards. So it takes those signals as they're coming in and then reinterprets it. So you can exfil data on computers that don't even allow a USB drive to be plugged in.
That's
Like
insane.
it's using the caps lock, num lock, scroll lock as Morse code. And that's just one of the crazy features. Like they're like on fire right now, like with adding features, both the OMG devices and this Rubber Ducky. Like they're both going back and forth, just dropping updates for these things like every couple of days. It seems like adding new features every couple of days, literally. But yeah. The Rubber Ducky is both more and less than you think and more than you think, if that made sense based off of what I said before.